All right, and welcome everybody to episode 3 of the Bigger Picture podcast. Today, we got some sports topics on deck. We're going to talk a little bit of NFL, talk about the quarterbacks present day and how we would rank them 5 to 1. Pretty simple, 1 to 5, 5 to 1, however you want to do it. My name is Brandon. Of course, you know me as the host. Today on the podcast, we've got Kyle. Say what's up, Kyle.
What's good, man?
Good to go. We got Justin Gray back as always.
Back as always.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And, of course, the legend, Obina Chukwu himself. Say what's up, Obi.
Good, y'all.
All right, good to go. All right, so today we're going to get it started popping. Real simple, like I said in the intro, today's NFL quarterbacks widely debated. If we're looking at all time, I think the conversation is different. If we're looking at over the course of their career, I think the conversation is different. But we're looking at tomorrow, the NFL season starts. Who's the best quarterback? Who's 2? Who's 3? Who's 4? Who's 5? Kyle, let's get it going.
All right, bet. So I'm going to do 5 to 1. You know what I'm saying? Get a little suspense in there. 5, I'm going with the homie Deshaun Watson. Back-to-back Pro Bowls. He's electric. He can throw the ball. Honestly, if he had a better line, he probably would be putting I was going to say Lamar Jackson numbers, but not as far as the rushing goes, but he would definitely be up there. Number 4, I'm gonna go with Lamar Jackson. That's the 2019 MVP. You can't disrespect that at all. He had 3,127 passing yards, 36 passing touchdowns. Rushed for over 1,200 rushing yards. He's definitely in the top 5. Number 3, I'm going with the future Hall of Famer, Aaron Rodgers. I think he's definitely going to have a big season this year. He's definitely highly motivated after he feels a little disrespected. You know, the Packers selecting Jordan Love in the first round. I think he's going to have a huge year. His talent hasn't went anywhere. Remember, last season was his first season under Matt LaFleur. So, second season, big things coming for him again. Number 2, going with another future Hall of Famer, Russell Wilson.
Wow.
Consistency over a long period of time. He's still in his prime. He's only 31. It feels like he's been in the league a lot longer. He's only 31. And he's, he in his early in his career, he was he's a great rusher. Always had the talent passing. But I think now, like, his passing is like way better than his rushing skills were. Number 1, no doubt, Patrick Mahomes. If anyone doesn't have Patrick Mahomes number 1 at the quarterback, they're smoking. That's the easiest decision ever. He didn't duplicate his 2018 numbers, but that didn't matter. His talent was still there. Still, led the Chiefs to the Super Bowl. Came back from down 10 in the fourth quarter. He really has all that it takes to be a quarterback in this league, especially now.
Fair enough. Solid list, and very good explanations. I'm not gonna say I don't disagree with any of them. I mean, you can definitely make the argument. Actually, that's a pretty damn good list. Justin, let's go to you. Let's see how you got them ranked.
Okay, so here we go. We'll start at 5. I'm gonna go with Drew Brees. It's not a flashy pick, but we're talking about a future Hall of Famer to make all the right throws. He does have a lot of weapons and talent around him. A great offensive mind, coach, and Sean Payton. But the guy gets the job done a year in. So you can't really complain with that. So Drew Brees is my number 5 pick. Number 4, I got to go with the GOAT, Tom Brady. I know people think that he's falling off, he's older, but to me, man, if I'm down a score or if I'm down 3 points, fourth quarter, there's nobody I want to see, like, have that ball in their hands other than Tom Brady, man. Like, I feel like he's going to get it done every time. You know what I'm saying? So he's my number 4 pick, the GOAT, Thomas Brady. Number 3, I'm going with the bad man himself, Mr. Discount Double Check, Aaron Rodgers. Up until 2 years ago, he was arguably the greatest talent we've seen at the QB position from a physical tool standpoint. Flick of the wrist, 60 yards, no problem. I feel like he's going to be highly motivated, like Kyle said. It's going to be a big season for him. So Aaron Rodgers is definitely my number 3. Number 2, bad man Russell Wilson. Listen, this guy right here, I'm telling you, man, I don't know if there's any QB in the NFL right now that does more with less. Like, he's out there throwing to me, Cal, and Obi each game, 300 yards, 3 TDs, and still has the mobile ability to get out of sticky situations at any moment. Like, the guy is Houdini on the field. Like, so he's definitely my number 2 pick. And honestly, I expect a big season from him. Honestly, I expect an MVP caliber season from Russell Wilson this year. And number 1, of course, Patty Mahomes. Chiefs gonna take it all away. He's that man, like the greatest physical prospect at the QB position ever, to me, in my opinion. I don't see anybody that's even close. Like, Aaron Rodgers is a distant second, and that says a lot about Patrick Mahomes, that Aaron Rodgers physically is a distant second to him. So he's my number 1 pick, and that's my top 5.
Wow. All right. That was very good. Very interesting. So just to clarify, are you putting Aaron Rodgers 2 or are you putting Russell Wilson 2?
No, Aaron Rodgers is number 3.
Aaron Rodgers is 3.
Number 2.
Okay. So when you were speaking on Russell Wilson, did you really say he's out there throwing to you, Obi, and Kyle? Is that what you said?
Yes.
So you're just cool with disrespecting DK Metcalf and Tyler
He
Lockett?
just got DK.
Listen, outside of DK,
He's had Golden
who
Tate.
else does he have?
He's had Golden
Doug
Tate
Baldwin.
before. Doug Baldwin, Tyler Lockett. I mean, just to name some names. But
Had
the
past few years,
had.
what Doug Baldwin the past 2 years has been hurt.
And I mean, he's always had the advantage of having a very nice running back in his backfield to always have 7 in the box. So I would say Russell Wilson, he's definitely benefited from that.
Since beast mode up until last year, they did not have a running game. He was the running game.
Early like 2012, 2013 Seattle, Russell Wilson was not asked to throw 20 times a game. It was, hey man, it's 3rd and 3. We're running the ball. Like, it's as simple as that. We don't need Russell Wilson in the shot.
I mean, honestly, if you have beast mode, how many QBs are going to be asked to throw the ball on 3rd and 3? I mean, we saw how well that worked for him in the Super Bowl, but still, man, on a game-to-game basis, Russell Wilson, you put the ball in his hands, he's a comeback king. He can make any pass. He's mobile. He can make any throw on the run. Like, the guy's a baller.
That's fair enough. Hey, I don't disagree. Russell Wilson's on my list. So looking at my list, it's pretty simple. Honestly, it's kind of a mix of what both of y'all had. Number 5, got to go up to Green Bay. I've got Aaron Rodgers. I think it goes without being said. I mean, you drop Aaron Rodgers on any team in the NFL, they're going to compete. He's done it with weapons, without weapons. He's had terrible defenses. He had good defenses. He's benefited from both. I think he benefits in tomorrow. He's only, 34, 35. Aaron Rodgers is still elite, and I don't think we can debate that too much, whether he's on your list or not. He's at 5 or 6 at minimum, so that's pretty straightforward. Number 4, I did go with Drew Brees. I think just like Aaron Rodgers, I think Brees is just still talented. And the fact that he's that much older is honestly what's making him that much better. Because it's almost like we're waiting for Drew Brees to regress and to get worse. And you can argue last year was a down year. He did get hurt. I mean, that was really the first time he's got hurt. He stayed healthy. He puts up numbers. He's had receivers. He's had running backs. It doesn't matter. Drew Brees balls. So you got to give him his respect. Number 3, I did put Russell Wilson. He's just on another level right now. And it seems like he's always in the MVP conversation, even when the team is not even doing that great, which is really impressive. Like Seattle, the last few years, they've been a playoff team. They've kind of hovered around 9-7, 10-6, 11-5. Really haven't broken through to be like an elite team like they once were. But Russell Wilson is the reason why. Like, if he ever goes down with injury, they're like a 3 to 4 win team. I really believe that. So definitely Russell Wilson, number 3. Number 2, got to go with last year's MVP, Lamar Jackson. I don't know how you can't put him 1, 2, or 3 because the dude just won an MVP. He set records, and he hasn't even scratched the surface, and that's what's scary. And I think, obviously, Mahomes is my number 1, but both of these guys, they're under 25. They're at the top of their games, at the top of their divisions, and they're young. They haven't even like Mahomes doesn't know how to read defense. He said that. I saw an interview where he said, he just started learning how to read defenses like last year or something. I'm like, that's insane. And he still threw like 50 touchdowns that year. Him and Lamar are 1 and 2, and I think it really just depends on what's going to separate them over time. It's not going to be stats. I think it is going to be rings. Lamar's got to get a ring now to stay in this conversation. And even after an MVP season, he still has haters. He still has doubters. So he can only go up from here. I really think so. Like, he's just scratching the surface. And the way the NFL's played today, both these guys are going to play for the next 10 years and just dominate. So I think it's pretty straightforward. Lamar 2, Pat Mahomes 1, goes without being said.
So, Hodge, let me ask you a quick question, though. I got Lamar Jackson on my list as well. Justin didn't. Of course, we still have yet to hear from Obi on that. Now, you ranking him number 2. I ranked him number 4. Do you think your ranking is a little more as far as his potential, or will you really see him performing this season?
That's a good question. This season, I still see him being there's no reason to think that he won't do exactly what he did last year. He has all the same weapons coming back. The division is not really much better. I mean, he still gets to play the Bengals twice. He still gets to play the Browns twice. And the Steelers are okay, but, I mean, it's nothing that they can't game plan against. Honestly, at this point, he's his worst enemy. So potential is going to be 1 or 2 for him. And next year, it's 1 or 2 for him. What's stopping him next year from winning another MVP? Other than injury, like, the offense is designed for him to put stats on the board, designed for him to throw touchdowns. You can't just stuff the run. Like, he's got weapons. I mean, the read option works beautifully. I mean, the guy's just made for it. So I think you can interchange him if you want to move him anywhere between 1, 2, or 3, even 4. I'm fine with that, even if you put him 5. But you don't win an MVP. You don't put up record numbers. And, like, he's a baller, man. He's a baller. So that's how I think. I mean, Obi, let's hear from you. What do you think, man?
Okay. Well, mine is a little left field, but that's just how I feel. We're talking the top 5 quarterbacks right now, right? Just clarifying. No bias. My 5, Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz. For me, you have to look at it like this, right? Some of the quarterbacks on your list, right? They have elite weapons. For me, I want to see what my quarterback can do when the chips are down, when his back is against the wall, when, injuries are part of the game that you have to overcome and adapt to. And as an Eagles fan, so I'll admit I look at the game a little different. It's the most impressive year I've seen from him since he's in the league. Even better, he played better to me than he did in the Super Bowl year, because you have all these guys go down. He becomes the first quarterback to throw for 4,000 yards without a single receiver going over 500. That's amazing to me. Yes, an elite tight end, a borderline elite tight end, but to me, I don't know if a lot of the quarterbacks on that list you named could duplicate that. So that's my 5. My 4, I'm going to go with Deshaun Watson as well. He's another one of those guys who doesn't have the greatest offensive line, the greatest defense. Yeah, he has Nuke, Fuller a third of the time, but he's just magic. He's one of those guys that has that same DNA as Mahomes, where every time you see him, you don't know what's going to happen next. He's one of the best at making something out of nothing, whether it's escaping the pocket, his arm strength, his accuracy, his ability to throw on the run. I haven't seen a lot of guys do it better than him on that level. And it makes you wonder if he got a better offensive line, what type of quarterback he would be. So big fan of Deshaun Watson. Number 3, Lamar Jackson. What else can you really say? What we saw last year was what happens when a coach decides to really invest in the strength of his player, not trying to put a square peg in a round hole. Harbaugh's one of the best at that. He'll take, what's given to him and build it around him. And like Hodge said, that's year 2 as a starter. I'll say year and a half he's been a starter. We're only seeing the scratching of the surface. Teams can say they'll take away the run, which they will. We've seen it with a lot of running quarterbacks. But as teams catch up to the read option, I think he'll get better as a passer. That's his goal because he's a quarterback at the end of the day. So, yeah, with the way that team's constructed, just his work ethic, how good of a teammate he is, I just see more room for him to grow. My number 2, Russell Wilson, right? That's all of our number 2. Just watching him grow from a game manager, from those, 10, 11 elite Seattle defenses to what he is now. The defense isn't all that. The running game they're still a run-based team, but come on, they're, Chris Carson, Procise, those guys are kind of not super consistent. His receivers, to me, I think he makes them better. I don't think those guys are elite receivers on other teams. He can make every single throw on the run, in the pocket. He's shattered the stereotype of short quarterbacks, him and Drew Brees. Man, I don't know. Honestly, you put him on these other teams, he can win MVP every single year. When you talk about the most valuable player, he has that Peyton effect where he does so much for his team. You take him away, like Haj said, they're not winning more than 5-6 games. No way. He carries that much weight on his shoulders. And then number 1 is, it goes without saying, Mahomes. He's the toughest. Like Justin said, physically, I thought Rodgers was big. I was like, man, this dude can do it, make all the throws. He has wheels, touch, accuracy. Mahomes is all that on steroids. I never thought I'd see anybody top Rodgers. But yeah, what we're seeing from him is the perfect marriage of a coach like Andy Reid, who is a quarterback whisperer, right? Meets this physical freak who's coachable. You put that together and you get what we see. And he's really just scratching the surface. I can talk at length about him, but him just really learning how to read defenses about halfway through last year. Once his mind catches up to his arm, it's a wrap. It's a wrap. Somehow, I think he's so good that this contract the Chiefs gave him, he's going to be underpaid in about 4 or 5 years. I honestly believe that. He's that good. So that's my 5. I know. No Rodgers, right? Ooh, he's not playing top 5 quarterback to me right now. I don't care. Right now, he's not. That's just me.
Listen, I don't got an issue with you not putting him 5, but you put Carson Wentz 5. So that's everybody. We're going to take a moment. We're going to I'm going to show y'all. I was writing down everybody's list here. So I'm going to just share my screen. I'm going to let y'all see what we're looking at in just a moment here. All right, look. So everybody see that?
Yeah.
All right, look. So this is our quarterback rankings here. I've got Kyle and Justin's name right now up there. I really don't have any issues. Mahomes, Wilson, you guys both have the same. Very similar 1, 2, and 3. So not a lot to talk about. I will say this. Justin, you are, I noticed, the only person to put Tom Brady up there. What are your comments on that?
Listen. And I've been waiting to comment on this. Y'all are mad disrespectful. We're talking about Tom Terrific, the GOAT. You don't think he's top 5 right now? Even with the last year that he had,
No.
You still have to look at the talent, the wisdom. You just said that Drew Brees is getting better because he's getting older, he's more wiser. So why wouldn't that apply to Tom Brady? Obviously, his arm isn't going to go anywhere. Really, when it comes to age, the only thing that matters is motivation and are you willing to take those hits, every Sunday. That's the only thing that it boils down to. And he's still willing to take those hits. He's out there working hard. I mean, the man is out here disobeying Corona laws to get it in with this team. Like, he is ready. I honestly expect him to have an MVP caliber season as well. But I just don't see how y'all can leave him out and throw in a guy like, Carson. But that's just
Hey, I'm sorry. Why did you put question marks next to Carson Wentz?
Because it was just a questionable pick.
Okay.
Just very questionable decision there. Kyle, I want to get back to you real quick. Running out of time here, about 5 minutes left or so. But I want to talk about Deshaun Watson. Now, you did put Deshaun on your list. Let's go back to it. But you had 5. He did crack your top 5. You put him over names like Brees, over names like Brady. Do you feel like Deshaun has really excelled himself in the top 5 conversation? Is he borderline to you? This is going to be a big year because now that DeAndre Hopkins is in Arizona, it's going to be telling, with Will Fuller and these other guys, is he really top 5? How do you feel about that?
And I think, of course, looking at me and Justin's, list, we have the same top 3. The 4 and 5 is his is, past success, and mine is, present and future success. Deshaun Watson, of course, hasn't had an MVP season, but like I said, back-to-back Pro Bowls. He's very, consistent, especially with what he really has had. Will Fuller hasn't played a full season. Their third receiver, who is who? Kiki Kuti, Kenny Stills, guys that are, borderline really should be the fourth wide receiver starts. Of course, he's had the luxury of having Nuke, which he will not have this year. But I think he does a great job of actually being able to spread the ball around. His tight ends haven't been amazing. Darren Fells, come on now. His running game, Lamar Miller for a couple of seasons. He's a above average running back at best. Last year, they had a combo of Carlos Hyde and Duke Johnson, both leftovers. He's done a lot, with honestly just one superstar receiver and the few games that he has Will Fuller. He has, some of his best games while Will Fuller, has played. But I think the fact that he can, still put up those stats, he still has the arm talent, like the things that you see him do, he might not get the full credit that you see like Lamar Jackson and others get, Patrick Mahomes, but he's doing it. He's doing big things, and I think we're going to see a lot this year, what he can do without Nuke. And if he can still have that same success, he is no question a top 5 quarterback, which I have him as.
Yeah, that's fair. And I think a good point that you made also, his O-line is god awful. They traded 2 first-round picks to get Laramie Tunsil, and they were still like a bottom 10 O-line. Correct. It's like, great, you got a left tackle, but what about your other guards, your center, and your right tackle? Because they're terrible. And every year it seems like they're trying to draft somebody in the first round to help him. He's right there for me. I need one more year, and I don't know. It's just something about him. I can't yet squeeze him into my top 5. Obi, let's skip over to your list here because I do want to get to it. I don't have a problem with 1. I don't have a problem with 2, 3, really even 4. I mean, it's fair. I mean, again, you got Deshaun 4. That's the highest of everybody. But Carson, I mean, you could have went a million different ways with this. There's a lot of guys you could have put on that list there.
Could I? Outside of Rodgers, who could I put there?
Outside of Rodgers, could have put Brady. Could have put Brees.
No?
Okay.
No.
I would even argue. I'll throw you a sleeper. You a sleeper. You could have put Matthew Stafford.
Nah.
Yeah. Now you're capping. Look.
Am I looking at numbers or am I looking at wins? Because
you're capping.
How many playoff wins does Carson have? Listen, I'm an Eagles fan, and to all my viewers out here, we're going to get to know each other very well over the next several months where we do these podcasts. But I'm an Eagles fan, and I'll tell you right now, Carson can't stay healthy. From a pure talent standpoint, the guy can ball. So if you're saying from my top 5 quarterbacks, hey, pure talent-wise, I don't have an issue with that. But I'm talking about right now, tomorrow, I can't trust Carson Wentz to throw me 400 yards, win my team a game. I don't know, man. He's good, but you want to talk about remains to be seen. I still need to see it. If I still need to see it from Deshaun, I definitely need to see it from Carson.
Okay, and I understand that, but I thought we're talking about the top 5 quarterbacks right now, right?
Right now, top 5.
Okay, so really, let's break it down, right? The people I picked, I picked Carson over. The only one I can debate is Rodgers, right? You know what I'm saying? And that was a tough one for me. That was my 5. Was like, man, Rodgers is still Rodgers. But outside of that game against Oakland where he threw 6 touchdowns, he didn't wow me. He didn't. I could argue that my boy, I forget the name, their running back, Aaron Jones, he kind of carried that offense. That's me, just from watching them. Aaron Rodgers finally had a running game. First time he had a running game since Eddie Lacy. How I look at it is this, right? I don't think Rodgers could have did that with the supporting cast of the Eagles. I don't think he could have. That's me personally. You have Devontae Adams. You know what I'm saying? You have a running back in Aaron Jones. Can you name the guys Carson Wentz was throwing to still win the division and still make the playoffs? Yes, he got hurt in that game off a bullshit, dirty-ass hit from Jadeveon Clowney. So that injury-prone label is kind of unfair when you're getting hit in the back of the head on a dirty hit by a 250, 60-pound freak in nature. So that's all it came down to for me. Watching it last year, as soon as all those guys went down, I was already packing it up. I was like, man, let's get an early high pick. You know what I mean? Let's just kind of get these moral victories, get our young guys in there. But we kept winning. We kept winning these important games. And I was watching Carson like, wow, he's really raising the level of these guys off the street. Like me and you out there, like YMCA receivers, the replacement. I don't think Rodgers right now could do that. Me personally.
Let me say
guy on
something.
that list or two.
Kyle, you got 30 seconds. Come on.
Let me say something real quick. I was watching those games.
That's me.
I don't think Carson Wentz won those games. I think the opposing quarterbacks, I think they lost those games, honestly. Just from watching those. Carson didn't, he didn't wow me with any throws that he made. He didn't really, like he didn't have statistical games that were like, okay, whoa, this is why they won the game. They won low scoring games. It was he didn't do anything special to me. I like Carson Wentz, the player. I do think he is injury prone, and he gets injured at the wrong time, which is unfair to him. It sucks, and it's kind of come to fruition what I thought. Ever since, I think it's a mental thing for him now too, as far as being having a great MVP season, not being able to finish it, watching another quarterback who is lesser than you win the Super Bowl, and you just can't get to the you can't get back to that same status.
Kyle, I gotta cut you off here. We're a little bit out of time, but hey, everyone, leave your comments below. Who do you think is your top 5? Like the video. If you have any questions for us, hit us up on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, wherever you can find us. Thanks so much for watching. Peace out, everyone.
All right.